Waiting House GOP leaders set to speak this morning, and only a handful of race results could determine complete GOP congressional control. But across the aisle, progressive lawmakers are throwing blame over their historic losses, and Hillary Vaughn's been tracking this for us. She's on Capitol Hill and has the latest. Good morning, Hillary.
Good morning, Dana. Well, House progressives say they are not the problem in the Democratic Party. They don't think the progressive left are the ones that are alienating voters. Instead, they say the problem is with establishment Democrats tied to big money. They think they are the ones holding the party back.
I mean, it's just what they do every time. But let's look at what their votes were on critical economic issues. Let's look at how many of them take corporate PAC money, and then come back and tell me how you think that it was progressives that are to blame.
Progressives welcome new members to their caucus on Capitol Hill and are already plotting their next move. Some progressives want to turn this lame duck session into a last-ditch effort.
So many people think sunspots are from the sun. In fact, they have nothing to do with the sun, and I'm going to tell you this.
To thwart President-elect Trump's agenda by getting as many immigrants who are waiting for it, their legal paperwork, and spend as much climate money Congress allocated as fast as possible.
There are a lot of people who could have green cards or be U.S. citizens. We should make sure that people have the paperwork they need so that they don't have their civil liberties violated by the right-wing crazies that Trump is about to put in power. As far as the climate goes, the more that we can get federal support to those businesses and those workers that will use the dollars responsibly, we should get the dollars to them before Trump finds some way to get it into one of his donors.
There's also going to be progressive pressure on President Biden to use his executive authority to try to stall President-elect Trump's agenda. Jayapal saying that while executive orders can be undone, it will tangle up the Trump team and essentially get their administration off to a slow start. Dana?
Hillary Vaughn on the Hill. I mean, I can't get enough of it. Keep it coming, and thank you.
Thanks.
So also breaking this morning, moments ago, the Majority Leader Chuck Schumer confirming he has now invited the Republican David McCormick and the Democrat Ruben Gallego to freshman orientation after initially snubbing McCormick, whose opponent had yet to concede in Pennsylvania. So the latest on that coming up in a moment here. We've got some escalating gang violence in Haiti, forcing the closure of the airport in Port-au-Prince, the capital city. It happened after a JetBlue and Spirit airline planes were struck by gunfire over the Haitian capital. And now 3 American airlines have temporarily suspended service in Haiti. The 2 flights hit by bullets were safely diverted, and now the U.S. Embassy is urging U.S. nationals to avoid travel to the war-torn country as that situation remains unstable as of today.
That's to say the least. And Republicans are nearing full control of Congress. They're preparing to make ambitious strides toward Donald Trump's agenda. But Democrats have other plans, reportedly plotting an 11th-hour sabotage of his policies. Axios reports that Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is alerting allies of a resistance to the next administration. Joining me now is Republican Congresswoman from Michigan, Lisa McClain. Great to have you here. Basically, let me quote from this piece that House Democrats are strategizing this way to put this damper on Trump's administration's sweeping plans while their party still retains some control in Washington. I think people might want to know, what could they possibly do in the next 6 weeks?
I have no idea, but they're going to try and do something. However, I think if you take a look at Election Day, the American people sent a mandate to Washington. They want a Washington that works and that works for the American people. So I think the best thing we all could do is get back to business, close the border, get inflation down. Let's take a look at moving forward and making America great again. So that's what I'm sure President Trump is ready, willing, and able to do, and the House and the Senate stand by to do the same.
I know that there are a couple of big things that are happening, including the farm bill that has to get done before January 2nd. Do you see that going smoothly?
I do. I mean, smoothly is a very interesting word. Democracy is messy, and we have a very diverse coalition of Americans, of voters, of people in Congress. But I think that's good because everybody gets their voices heard, and disagreement isn't disloyalty. At the end of the day, after we listen to everyone, we will get a very resilient prosperous farm bill that the American people will like and will be very beneficial to them as well.
I had to read this twice, and I'm going to play it for everybody because Congresswoman Jayapal, now in the House, just to remind everybody, you don't have the filibuster. But the Democrats were talking about changing the filibuster and encouraging Kamala Harris to run on changing the filibuster to get things done. Well, now the Republicans are in charge of the Senate and probably going to be the House as well. We haven't called that yet, but it looks likely. And here's what Jayapal said yesterday.
Am I championing getting rid of the filibuster now when the Senate has the trifecta? No. But had we had the trifecta, I would have been, because we have to show that government can deliver.
Isn't that the kind of unprincipled take that the voters were reacting against last Tuesday?
Yeah, that is the exact mandate that the American people said, we just play by the rules of the game, right? If you can't win, maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe it's your policies that are the problem. And at the end of the day, Dana, we were elected to represent the American people. We have an obligation to do that, not change the rules of the game whenever it's convenient for us. So perhaps it's your policies that you should take a look at. That's why President Trump won an overwhelming victory, because he has good policies and he actually puts the American people first.
One of the things that you're going to do is try to replace Elise Stefanik. Elise is the congresswoman from upstate New York. She is being tapped to be UN ambassador. And in fact, Moskowitz, a Democrat from Florida, said she'll do a good job in that position. I want to show everybody on the board here. You'll be running against a couple of other folks here that have thrown their hat in the ring already. Kat Kamek of Florida and Blake Moore of Utah. What would you do different to what Elise Stefanik has been doing over the last couple of years?
Well, first, I think Elise has done a remarkable job. So I would follow a lot of her lead. I have been with President Trump since day one, even when it wasn't popular, much like Elise has been. And the issue is we have to bring the coalition of very unique voters together. We have a very big, diverse caucus. We have a very big and diverse America. But what I think the advantage we have is we have a big, diverse caucus. We have a very big and diverse America. But what I think the advantage we have is we have a commander-in-chief in President Trump that will set the agenda and set the tone. And it will be my job as conference chair to get the conference together, make sure that we're singing from the same hymnal, so to speak, to move his agenda forward and be able to articulate in a very simple manner how to make America great again, get inflation down, close the border, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm excited to get to work with my colleagues to do just that.
All right, Lisa McClain, go have a great day. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And this week on the Perino on Politics podcast, my guest was Dawn Stewart. We call him Stu, and we talk about Trump's victory and the fairly traditional outcome despite two untraditional candidates. That's a tease. Check him out there.
Stu, stirring it up. Day 5, witness testimony in the Daniel Penny trial resumes, set to resume moments from now. A lot is on the line as jurors are expected to hear about more witnesses to the subway death, and Judge Jeanine Pirro is outside the courthouse. She'll take us through it moments away from here. A bit of a frosty face-to-face. First Lady Jill Biden and the Vice President Kamala Harris meeting publicly yesterday for the first time since Trump's historic election win. So how minutes now, witness testimony resumes in the Daniel Penny trial, New York City, Lower Manhattan. Jurors expected to hear more compelling accounts of what happened on that day in a New York subway, May of 2023. The Marine Daniel Penny putting Jordan Neely in a deadly chokehold. Defense attorneys maintain that Penny acted in self-defense. Judge Jeanine Pirro is standing outside the courthouse back in Lower Manhattan. And Judge, good morning to you. Here is what some of the witnesses have said thus far here. I did not feel safe when he was moving around erratically.